Okay, well, my name is Jeff Handmaker.
And my name is Remko Berkhout. I work at Hivos.
And I lecture here at the Institute of Social Studies. And we're here just to say a few words about this book, Mobilising Social Justice, edited by myself and Remko. So first I'm just going to say a few words about, maybe you can just hold this for a sec, about kind of the theoretical basis from which this project came from. Essentially the book was looking at a wide range of practice, human rights practice in mobilizing social justice from different perspectives. Everything from the budget process, in an article, a chapter written by Frankie Jenkins, to the challenges that social actors face when trying to organize themselves in the face of quite oppressive policies by the police, and that's an article by Marcel Dawson. Jackie Dugard, another one of the authors, writes about water, the whole mobilization around accessing good, affordable, clean water, and particularly within the township, the Soweto township of Johannesburg, the Piri community there. What all these different papers speak to, and mine is more of a theoretical chapter, is the capacity of civic actors to actually fulfill a role in interacting with the state that mobilizes social justice through formal structures and through informal actions. So it's a combination of legal and non-legal actions that they take. What the book tried to do is to recognize that there are many different forms that are taken to mobilize social justice, but that there's often a lack of critical self-reflection on the part of the practitioners concerned, that they do tend to, well, basically do human rights rather than really to contextualize the circumstances in which they're working. And Remko's going to say a bit more about that in a moment. I just want to basically conclude that in theorizing the mobilization of social justice, we basically concluded that the context in which civic actors operate really does shape the possibilities for the interactions they have with the state, and not just as, excuse me, our friend Peter Alexander said, the cuddly aspects of the state, but also the harsh aspects of the state, the police in particular, but also the civil servant who stands behind the desk and is unwilling to deal meaningfully with someone's application for social assistance. The state, of course, has many different dimensions, and civic actors engage with these different dimensions, including, of course, Parliament in the context of the budget process. So there are both informal and formal ways in which civic actors engage with the state in its many different roles. But there are also the circumstances in which advocates make strategic choices to advocate human rights needs to be critically assessed, because there is, well, what I've termed certainly a social distance between civic actors and the state, and that this social distance isn't always understood. It always exists. It can be narrower and broader depending on particular circumstances, but it needs to be critically engaged with by civic actors. And academics, for their part, need to also understand the huge complexities that civic actors face in dealing with this. In other words, state interactions need what Margaret Archer would refer to as a human face, recognizing that structure matters, and that civic agency in exercising human rights accountability holds real possibilities, a narrow but significant space, which is available, but can actually lead to structural changes. Okay, this is kind of more of some theoretical insights into what the book tried to explore. It was engagement between academics and practitioners arising out of a conference which took place in November at Wits University in Johannesburg last year. And Remko, perhaps if you could speak a bit about how the book seeks to make a contribution to practitioners, people working in the field as well as organizations like yours.
Okay, I think that critical engagement is one of the key words here. This is actually the the whole motivation underlying the Hivos ISS Civil Society Building Knowledge Program. We look into the dynamics of civic action, we look into the role of outside actors, and we look at the contribution that civil society makes towards altering the balance of power in societies. So we're basically critically exploring also our own role as an international actor in this. And this book, I think, does exactly that. I think the whole process has been has placed contributors at a central stage who naturally straddle this academic practitioner divide, and they've done the research, and they've written the papers, and they've also been key players at the conference. And I think the conclusions are very helpful for practice. And maybe just elaborating slightly on what Jeff mentioned earlier, I would say that one of the more useful things that has arisen from the book for us as Hivos is that we have found some ways to move beyond kind of our default mode of operations, and to really see how we could better analyze context, and also what the importance is of bringing various social actors in programs together. So that can be social movements, specialized NGOs, and also academic institutions, or those kind of intermediate research institutions. So this book is both a product of this work, and it is also kind of a promotion for invitation for more of this kind of work in the future. It's maybe not your regular book. There's a wide variety of contributions. There's the more usual papers you find in these kinds of books, but you also find keynote speeches, interviews, some very critical, provocative forward, and some conclusions and suggestions, personal reflections, and suggestions from our side for more of these kinds of projects that are surely to follow in the future. So check it out.
Oh, we should also mention that the entire book is available for free download from the website of Pretoria University Law Press, and eventually also through the Hivos and ISS websites. So if you go to the link which we'll put up, you can find the entire book available for free download.
Yes. Yeah. And maybe one PS, as this is very much also a work in progress, we would very much like to hear from you. Absolutely. What you think, and if you have any suggestions for us and the other authors of the book.